I started out in the building industry as a young display home salesman in 1989. I was fortunate to begin my career with Dixon Homes in Brisbane, then headed by Martin Edwards, who was chairman of the Housing Industry Association. Dixon had a formal process for onboarding salespeople, which began with an intensive 2-week training program. They also tended to invest considerably into home design development, entering and winning numerous Home of the Year awards that adorned the foyer of the offices and featured in their advertising campaigns. This was my first exposure to a branded home design company, one of the largest in Queensland at the time. The hype surrounding the branding was intoxicating, and I loved the work. I developed a knack for home design layout manipulation. Customizing a standard plan became my modus operandi, and what set me apart from my sales competitors at the time. I worked at the company for 4 years. My ability to improvise design solutions for different situations created an opportunity to market a 120-lot residential development that was languishing because of the difficult hilly terrain. I partnered with the builder, and we built a display home on the development that served as a base of operations. Each lot was sold as an individual custom design solution. The entire estate sold out in about 12 months. The last of these homes was still under construction 12 months later. Our next development was already set up and ready to start. The division of labor was simple. I was to manage and do all the marketing and sales. The builder was to manage the building operation. That's when financial difficulties began manifesting. I was flabbergasted and dumbstruck. I thought the big problem of business was finding work in the first place. How could a business be successful with no money to show for it? Things came to a head, and after a heated emergency meeting, my partner abruptly resigned, and I was left to crash land the whole thing. It was a mess. I didn't know what it would cost to finish the homes. I couldn't develop a cash flow management plan. I couldn't understand why the profit and loss report was showing a profit, yet we couldn't pay our suppliers. I suspected that the books were cooked and that the money had gone missing. This turned out not to be true. I knew very little about running a business. In truth, we were both oblivious to the risk and responsibilities of running a building company, and were equally to blame. After a shattering administration and liquidation, it became apparent that the company was not making enough money on the work to cover both direct and indirect costs, as well as overhead expenses. While my partner had done a decent job of estimating costs, the margin applied was simply not enough to cover all expenses. My partner was an efficient operator, and his efficiency combined with the steady work only served to disguise a structural flaw in the business. The workflow showed significantly as we pivoted to new development. The cash coming in was reduced to a trickle, but the supplier invoices, on the other hand, kept flooding in. We had been trading insolvent for at least 6 months, probably longer. Turnover in the previous 18 months was north of $12 million, but almost $10 million of that had already been completed in the 6 months before the crash. The work in progress figure was so fantastic that our accountant was sued by regulatory authorities because he got it so wrong. This number can make you look solvent when you are not. I was shattered and vowed never to run a building company again. I completed my design education and got my designer's license. But I was hooked on building, albeit in restricting my activity to sales and marketing. I thought I had learned my lesson, but the real lessons were only starting. I found an opportunity to win industry contacts and took up positions with Markham Homes, who had just purchased the Cavalier Homes franchise when another planned franchise operation fell through. A display home had already been built and was ready to open. I slipped right in, and soon Markham Homes was a hive of activity. Sales targets were easily met, and I was happy as Larry. That ended abruptly 12 months later, when the lease for the display home ran out and the display village wound down. The franchise had been slated to be operated by another builder, but the deal fell through. Markham Homes were a last-minute substitute. A year had been wasted in the process. I wasn't privy to all the details, and I hadn't seen it coming. I took up several filling positions until I stumbled across a display home that had just been completed by the Dennis family in a new display village. They had decided to mothball their new home contract business to focus on their development work. The display home was to be shuttered while the display village was in operation. We managed to negotiate a lease whereby Marken Homes used the display home to generate business, on the proviso that they refrain from using the display home layout in the homes they sold and built. It was to be a custom home design and build offer. We were there for 18 months and produced 97 custom home design and build sales over that period. It was a remarkable achievement. Marken Homes had in the interim secured a nearby display home site. A new display home was built and we switched our base of operations. Sales remained strong for the next 14 months. This extended period of complete control allowed me to develop and implement a process that was the consummate sales machine. I had hired 2 greeters working in shifts 7 days a week. Their task was to sort and direct traffic. They did the discovery evaluation and set up a schedule for me to call. I qualified them and planned a meeting on site. At the meeting, I would suggest I prepared a design solution and build cost estimate, which I would prepare over the following week. I would present these proposals and close the following weekend. I have tweaked this substantially since, but when you do this week after week for an extended period, you develop a deep expertise. Moreover, you begin to appreciate the functionality of a simple systemized approach. More on that later. That is why I was shocked to arrive at work one Wednesday morning to find a moving contractor loading all the display furniture and office equipment onto a truck. Several frantic calls later, the truth emerged. The directors of Marken Homes were arranging their affairs and the business was expected to go into administration in the next few days. I was flabbergasted and perplexed. The owners had just returned from a 6-week European holiday. The business was run by an experienced professional management team. What the hell? This debacle was to cost me 10 months worth of work and about $230,000 in lost commissions. It was turning into the story of my life. As the only salesman, I considered the possibility that the homes had been sold too cheaply. I was never to know the true cause of the failure, but on its face, they were probably sold too cheaply. I didn't set the prices and knew nothing about price estimation aside from using a company-supplied variation book to prepare prelim sales estimates. Contract prices were determined by an office estimator. It was clear that proper cost estimation was a crucial element of the sales process. I had to get it right because it was in my interest that builders I worked with were profitable. I took courses on build cost estimation and read everything I could get my hands on. I soon developed an ability to break the project scope of works down to its component parts and prepare accurate cost estimations. While scoping around for tools to help with this task, I mocked up an Excel checklist I started using extensively, modifying it along the way. I looked and found new home sales gigs that allowed me to preliminary build cost estimates and incorporate these estimates into my sales processes as a feasibility assessment. It had a tremendous impact on our ability to win the trust of our customers. We leveraged that trust to engage in an open discussion with them about the home with an emphasis on quality and value. Our conversations were transformed, and discussions on cost was just a blip on our way to a smooth sale. I seldom needed to deploy the salesy pitch techniques I had studied so diligently decades ago. I was no longer a salesman. I was now a professional new home design and build consultant. The role was a huge responsibility, but I felt I had little choice. It was crucial and in everybody's interest that the builder did well. I had started to operate independently, generating my own leads and working with several small builders to service and close those leads. I was defensively attempting to avoid putting all my eggs in one basket. Focusing on a few small builders was a revelation, I found. Many were not very skilled at cost estimation. Few engaged in any marketing to speak of at all. They had no brand whatsoever. They lacked industry accomplishments. Nobody knew who they were. They had a limited or no marketing budget, had little in the form of a portfolio of completed projects to show. Consequently, they generated no referrals, had difficulty differentiating their services from the competition, struggled to overcome skepticism from potential customers, and desperately competed on price at every opportunity. Then you had those that were just starting their careers as fully fledged builders. The trade-off, on the other hand, is what I consider to be a winning proposition. They all had hands-on, on-site management style. I started calling them trade-based builders, handcrafting fine homes. These were the people that had spent their entire careers getting things done on site, sometimes on their own projects, oftentimes for other builders. It was 2015, and biting the bullet, I began the process of attracting leads via my website using Google paid ads. The hook was a low-level free sketch design offer. I was pulling an average of 135 leads a month on month. It was a struggle to service all these leads. I had to employ 3 full-time draftsmen and a system administrator. It was very profitable. Apart from generating the sketch designs, a big issue was providing accurate build cost estimates. I was relying on the builders to produce contract prices, and the flow was erratic and unpredictable. Cost estimates is primarily an issue of developing an expertise. Most builders understand or can quickly grasp the precepts and methodologies of producing build cost estimates. Expertise, however, is accumulated over time. It is a matter of practice. Prepare one estimate, you begin to understand. Prepare hundreds over the course of a year, then you become an expert. Few trade builders have had the time or opportunity to do that. Worse, the builders all use an eclectic range of tools to produce proposals and contract documentation. There was no systemized clarity, no systemized database to keep track of supplier prices, no table of productivity rates for trades, no database of supply and fit contractors. I was sensitive to and conscious of my vested interest to ensure that builders I worked with grew profitably. I used the rudimentary cost estimation checklist in Excel that I had been using as a guide and hired an IT developer who created an SQL database that integrated the main project management functions required to run home design and build projects. The system managed the takeoff, cost estimation, selections, progress claims, variations, cash flow, earned value management, and invoicing. It was a functioning, vertically integrated project management system. Albeit not developed as a SaaS product, it was more than minimally viable and had proved its reliability over the past 9 years. I scaled back the operation and focused on marketing high-end homes, working with a handful of builders. We have now directly managed more than $100 million worth of contract work from concept to completion. It all stems from a simple offer, which is a step-by-step process whereby the customer is served by a core team of building professionals from concept to practical completion. Home building has always been about service. Helping customers by guiding them to avoid unnecessary difficulties is the key to new home sales of the future. What are the evolving core customer problems? 1. What can you provide for me? The design and scope. 2. How much will it cost? Budget. 3. Who will build it for me? Delivery. It is instructive that before custom home design and build, customers selected their builders by either visiting a display village and selecting their builder based on the design they preferred, or having a design prepared by an architect or designer and selecting a builder based on a tendering process, or selecting a builder based on their ability to deliver an outcome. Now, more owners are selecting their builder based on their ability to provide a comprehensive design and build service, a one-stop shop, so to speak. So where and how are you going to find a steady stream of customers? If you are currently busy doing a lot of work, is a continuing workflow reflected in your pipeline? Do you experience feast and famine cycles? Are you so busy you have no time for any marketing activities? What will you do when the work starts to ease? Will that be the signal to start looking for your next job? Do you tend to sacrifice margin to win work? Do you often have to work with sales and marketing consultants offering low margin work? Do you fill in with contract trade work and with other builders when the work dries up? That is no way to build a business. At best, you are running a building company at enormous risk as if it were a trade business. You might as well just be a tradesman. It's less risky and the work is steady. Growing a contract building business, however, means you are building a machine that generates consistent revenue in the form of excess profit. The longer it does so, And the more systematic the business becomes, the more intrinsic value it gathers based on its market brand, its social proof in the form of testimonials, award, portfolio, and reputation. It's not an easy task growing a contract building business. There are many issues to navigate. You take all the risks just to distribute every penny you get to others. Finding competent tradesmen is becoming increasingly difficult. Your relationships with customers are a roller coaster ride. They love you when they need you and are indifferent when they don't. Managing growth and controlling overhead and employer is hard. You must comply with the myriad local and state government regulations. That's before you need to guarantee sufficient business funding to comply with license obligations. You need to manage your cash flow, maintain a steady stream of sales, manage client, supplier, trade, and workplace relationships, manage every detail of each project: selections, design, engineering, trade quotes, orders, cost control, and on-site management. You are responsible for it all. In my experience, most builders simply assume and shoulder these responsibilities without the second thought. They just trust in their judgment and hope for the best. Sometimes it works out fine, oftentimes not. So let's outline how you could intelligently develop the skills and infrastructure to build a solid contract building company. 1. You need to master the marketing and sales process. 2. You need to learn to price for profit. And 3. You need to manage the on-site work for a successful outcome. I say contract builder because a contract builder uses client funds to fund construction. You could be a developer who funds their own projects for sale and settlement after completion. That is not what I'm talking about here. It requires a separate set of skills. So it is important to outline a plan of action. Start by carefully evaluating and deciding what your niche will be. Selecting a niche is the strongest affirmation you can make in a marketplace. Proclaiming that you are a builder is also an affirmation in the marketplace. The issue is that it is too broad a niche. You get lost in the crowd. The smaller your niche, the easier it will be for you to have a discernible impact in that market and stand out. A small niche does not limit the work you can do. It is rather a declaration of your abilities. Think of it as a professional resume. You are declaring, this is what I can do and what I want to do. This is why you should let me do it for you. Behave as if you do it all the time by visualizing and learning as much as you can about that niche. Enlist the help of a knowledgeable mentor to guide you along the way. Be confident and flexible in your dealings with potential customers. Nobody wants to deal with somebody that doesn't sound confident. Make assertive suggestions if you have an opinion about something. Slowly build momentum by letting others know about your projects you do along the way. Post progress updates on social media. Always emphasize how you are resolving issues. Try to catch the eye of anyone who may have a similar or related issue. Build on what you have. You will find that you will inherit something from every encounter. A specification document that you can turn into a template, a color selection document, an estimation process, suppliers, they all contribute towards an accumulation of your intellectual property. Is it as simple as this? Of course it is. Is it easy to do? You can do it with a little effort. We will certainly help in any way we can. You should adopt a systematic approach to your marketing efforts. Understanding the market is simply stacking up the evidence and record of what it is you do. Modern marketing is not about spending a huge amount of money hiring somebody to blast out a message about you. It is about stacking up information about your abilities in the form of a project portfolio and social proof, so that a prospective customer that finds you can immediately recognize how your skills can provide the solution they are looking for. Referrals are warm leads and easier to close. They are seldom a steady source of sales. Marketing partnerships generally run their course, and this can leave you stranded. Let's assume your fortune holds and you manage an extended run of profitable projects. Good fortune is seldom permanent, and you will eventually need to learn how to generate and deal with cold leads. Cold leads are leads that you have never heard of you before. They have not been recommended to you by anyone. Closing a cold lead is more difficult. Many builders mistakenly believe they are expert salesmen because they have managed to close every warm lead they have had. Marketing is about capturing a cold lead, nurturing it until it warms up, then closing the deal. Regardless of your current status, you need to implement basic sales and marketing processes to find customers and nurture them over an extended period until they are ready to buy. In summary, you need to identify what niche you want to serve. Communicate your offer and why you are best equipped to deliver. Establish your brand, how the customer understands your capabilities the moment they decide they need your services. What they perceive to be your core competencies, why they believe you are best able to solve any issues they might have, what proof they have that you have delivered the same in the past. Demonstrate how your services will be the bridge between your client's current situation and their desired outcome. Communicate this message on a properly set up website using search engine optimization. Enhance the message on social media accounts using portfolio, content, marketing, and unique information about you. Set up your sales funnel for lead capturing and nurturing. Send warm-up emails that set out your USP, unique selling proposition, in quick succession after the contact request. Explain what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and when you'll do it. Call and set up an appointment for a serious call if you feel they are qualified. Arrange a discovery meeting. Make an offer they can't refuse. Think of an onboarding service that you can provide that will satisfy their immediate needs. What design solution do they have? What will it cost? Offer a low-cost design feasibility. Set up an infrastructure to service those leads. Use white label arrangements first. White labeling is when you buy the services from another company and rebrand it as your own. I provide white label services to several builders. You need to at least be able to provide home design services, a sales design consultancy that can manage it all. Initially, that could be you, if you have the time, somebody to do selections, colors, and arrange professional consultants in the forms of engineers, surveyors, town planners, etc. In a nutshell, what you need to do is implement a sales and marketing process in your building contracting business. I realize that this may be too much. I struggled with it myself for years, but it is crucial to your business and will pay dividends if you at least understand it. You can spend years learning a trade. You can amass a wealth of experience and accumulate enormous qualifications. But you are in an industry that is dominated by entrepreneurs. There are few salaried positions, and most builders and tradespeople are contractors. The single most important skill you need as a builder is the ability to find your own customers. I've made a good living finding customers and introducing them to builders. It works well, but it is not a substitute for the builder generating their own leads and implementing processes to service and close those leads. I have broken down how to set up a functional sales and marketing process into its component parts. It's easy to follow, so you don't have to struggle as much. The link is in the notes. Like, share, subscribe, and press the notification bell to receive future updates on small builder marketing. Follow the links to my Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook feeds for tips about managing your marketing efforts.